Hello, welcome back. I'm Juliana and today we're going to be making zucchini bread. So this is a really good recipe if you just have zucchini lying around that's like going bad in your fridge, I guess. And you can turn it into something really good. So let's get started. Our first step, as always with any recipe, is to preheat our oven. So we're going to preheat it to 375. Okay, the next step is we're going to do our dry ingredients first, and then we're going to move on to our wet ingredients. So our dry ingredients, we're going to start off with 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and then we also have a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And with the baking soda, a great way to measure is just like take the tab and press down on it, so that way you get a nice and smooth teaspoon. Next we have a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. This is a similar idea. If you use this specific brand, they purposely have like this flat edge here, so that after you scoop it, you can just go like boom. And once again, you have an exact measurement. A little tip there. Okay, then we have a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Yeah. Okay, and then the key ingredients to this recipe is really the spices. So cinnamon is like the main player in this recipe. It would be really good if you did have it, but if not, I'm sure it would still be fine because you have other things counteracting the flavor of the zucchini anyways. So in this we're using cinnamon and nutmeg. Nutmeg is not a very common spice, so it's okay if you don't have it. So we need 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And with nutmeg you really don't need much at all because it's a very strong spice. And same with cinnamon. So that's 1. 2, and then 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Yeah, it has a very strong scent to it. Okay, so now we're gonna whisk our dry ingredients. And I have this tiny whisk here that I really like to use for it because you don't necessarily need a big whisk, but this is very unnecessary, you don't need it. And also a really good thing I like to do when whisking dry ingredients is kind of shake the bowl around or swirl the bowl around while you're whisking, because this is going to pick up any ingredients that are stuck at the bottom that's not getting fully mixed. And so it'll just lift it up and it'll get properly mixed. Okay, so now we have our dry ingredients, very cinnamony. And now we're going to move on to our wet ingredients. So put that to the side. And I'm using a clear bowl just so you can see what the consistency is like, because with wet ingredients, that's really where the consistency is going to come in, because dry ingredients is just dry flour and powder. So we're going to start off with a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. You could probably use mazola or corn oil as well, but don't use olive oil. You typically don't ever use olive oil in baking, so just because of the flavor of it. Then we also have a half cup of packed brown sugar and a half cup of white sugar. And then we also have 1 egg. Sometimes recipes like this one tell you to have your egg at room temperature. I don't particularly see a difference. So I don't particularly see a difference. But there are a few recipes that you need it to be room temperature, so just bear that in mind. Okay, finally we have 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract or imitation. I just use the cap as a single teaspoon. Right? Okay, so now that's almost all our wet ingredients. Kind of regretting not using the smaller whisk here, but it's fine. Okay, so we're just gonna give that a nice stir. Any lumps in there, just like break it up. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to be shredding our zucchini, and we need about 1 cup shredded zucchini, which equates to about 1 medium zucchini. So, if you have a grater, I just like to use like these larger ones or medium-sized ones, and just like shred it. If you don't have a grater, I bet you could just like cut it into small strips, or you could even try putting it in a food processor if you wanted to, but I'm just gonna do it like this. Alright, so now we have a full cup of shredded zucchini, and as you can see I didn't actually end up needing the whole thing, so yeah, you might not end up needing it either. So now we're gonna add the cup of zucchini to our wet ingredients. If you want, you can get a spatula to help you scoop out any extra. And then we're going to mix once again. You could also probably use a spatula for this. It would probably maybe work better. Okay, so now we have our mixture, kind of chunky obviously because of the zucchini. And now we have to add our wet ingredients to our dry ingredients, or vice versa. So I do this in parts as always. And yeah, so I just, depending on how much dry ingredients you have, split up into like 3 parts, 4 parts. It's probably gonna take like 3 parts. So I'll see you when all my dry ingredients are combined. Alright, so my whole mixture is combined, and as you can see my batter is pretty thick, and just for the sake of making it easier to spread in the pan, I'm gonna add more liquid to like make it less thick. You could probably add more water or even milk to it as well to do this. And I might end up adding milk too, so yeah. If your batter is thick too, then you can just do this as well. Just eyeball it. Yeah. Okay, so this seems like a pretty good consistency. It's like runny, but not too runny. And this is a thicker batter compared to something like banana bread, because of the zucchini chunks in there, so yeah. Alright, so now we're gonna grease our pan. You generally want to use like a loaf pan, like this one. You could probably use a different, like another like square pan or something like that. It's just ideally you would use something like this. So I'm just using vegetable oil cooking spray. You could probably use any kind of cooking spray you want. You could even butter the pan. Some people like to use parchment paper and line it like that, but I don't prefer that because the the zucchini bread will bake to the shape of the parchment paper, and so just like appearance wise I don't like it, but you can use that too. And make sure to get the edges because you don't want this thing to stick to your pan. Okay, and now with the help of a spatula, I'm going to pour it in here. Okay, so I poured up everything in. Now I'm just gonna like sway it around, hit it on the table, and this gets any air bubbles in there out, and your zucchini bread will bake nice and smooth, which is what you want. So our oven is nice and preheated now, and so we're gonna bake it for approximately 45 to 55 minutes. According to your oven, it may take longer. Another thing, I suggest putting it on the very top rack or wherever it has the most room to expand, because generally recipes like this, I mean, it's a loaf style thing, so it's gonna puff up. So yeah, I'll see you once it's done. Another thing you could do with your zucchini bread, which I forgot to mention, you can add stuff in there like chocolate chips, so walnuts would pair really good with this. Maybe even raisins, like anything like that if you want to add to it. I'm just doing plain zucchini bread because, yeah, I like it like that. So, but just, you know, play around with it. Okay, so now our zucchini bread is all done and it's ready to eat. So I hope you enjoyed making zucchini bread, and I'll see you next time. Bye.